Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Richard Sachs, Provost and VPAA at University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College. I'm very pleased today to have with me Carrie Napora, who's a longtime Gallipolis, Gallia County resident, and currently working both for the School of Arts and Letters here and also for the Madog Center. So welcome, Carrie.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I know that you used to work at the French Art Colony. Before we get into our regular questions, can you tell us, as much as you're willing to share with the audience, about what brought you to Gallipolis? And I know people downtown speak very highly of you in the cultural community here about the French Art Colony and all the things you've done for fine arts here and for Madog Center.
Well, I moved into the area in 2004 to be with, brought my family here because there was other family present in the area, and was honored enough to obtain the position of director at the French Art Colony from 2005 to 2010. And it was a phenomenal experience, not being familiar and growing up in the area, but then getting to know the community from that perspective and working with the artists and other organizations in town that really are just to benefit the arts. And so it was a wonderful experience, and I really did get to know the town really quickly.
Great.
As a result of that. So
great. And now you're currently splitting your time both between, it used to be fine arts, but now it's arts and letters.
Yes.
And the Madog Center. Could you talk briefly about both those areas as well?
Sure. It's interesting to be with the School of Arts and Letters, and I do get to engage with the students and faculty, and just there are many duties, but I think the most exciting part is just any special projects that come up and being able to help the students and make sure that they're on the path that they need to be, and it's always nice to be able to serve them in any way that I can. Madog Center, I'm secretary there as well, and it's a very project-driven group. We have anything from genealogical content to historic content, many different projects, Welsh Scenic Byway, the Welsh-American Heritage Museum in Oak Hill, our exchange opportunities that we have for university students to go to Trinity St. David in Carmarthen in Wales. Lots of different projects and programs that Jeannie and I help bring to the community and to the students here.
That's great. Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you. Well, the reason that one of the topics we're going to focus on today is the Rio Holiday storefront. I know one thing we've noticed is there's a lot of travel up and down State Route 7, also known as 2nd Avenue or Eastern Avenue, depending where you are in Gallipolis. And there's also some empty storefronts.
Yes.
In addition to that, there's so many good things that people are doing at Rio in terms of fine arts, in terms of fine woodworking. And so beginning last year, Robbie Jenkins, a local businessman, was kind enough to allow us to use what people still call the Paul Davies jewelry storefront at 404 2nd Avenue. David Ding, the bookstore director, came in and created a small bookstore. And Carrie, you largely took care of collecting all the incredible pieces of fine arts. That's fine woodworking, pottery, all kinds of painting and different kinds of art, and collected that and organized it and priced it. We opened up the night before Thanksgiving, that Wednesday evening, the lighting ceremony, and continued on Thursday, Friday, Saturdays throughout the holiday season. Can you tell us some of the challenges about that? And you did just a phenomenal job. I'm sorry to make you blush on screen. And we're now being joined by David Ding, the bookstore director, who was also critical to that as well.
Yes, definitely.
But can you tell our viewing audience about the storefront?
Well, yeah, it was a really good opportunity for me to kind of take some of the experience I had with the French Art Colony and working with the artisans to be a part of that team. We had, not only David Ding representing the bookstore and university, but also we had several people from our admissions department taking part in that. It was really a group team effort to make that come through. But my responsibility was to obtain vendors so that we could showcase the talents and scholarship type events that take place between our faculty, our students, and have that available for the community to see, to purchase. And it was very successful. We had alumni Curtin students. It was just, whether it was a publication, a book, or it was pottery. We had a lot of wonderful pottery come through. We also had staff come through with jewelry and special hobbies that you never really would normally know they would do, but it really helped shed light on the artistry going on around campus and the support that we all have, and obviously extending that into the community was wonderful.
I had no idea Chris Kenny made mandolins. He had some beautiful mandolins
One
there.
of the many things he makes.
Yeah. And we had that beautiful grandfather clock, even though I don't think it's sold. But
Andrew Benchman, wonderful.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
Yeah,
wonderful. At his
really
work.
good work. Well, let me introduce David Ding now, our bookstore director. And David is always in 3 places at once, and so I'm not even going to ask for a hall pass that he showed up
Thank you.
a couple minutes late. But the storefront last year would not have worked without Carrie. It would not have worked without David either. David created all the billing apparatus for us, provided so much equipment and things like that so that we could show not just stuff from the bookstore, but also a lot of the art that we were selling as well. Again, thank you so much for that. And do you want to share some of the challenges and some of the issues that we dealt with?
For us, I was just glad to be able to get our Rio gear, apparel, gifts and such outside of our 4 walls that we normally don't get that opportunity. And so then to see the excitement from the community that people that said, I thought you were closed. I didn't realize the bookstore was still there, and whatever the answers and comments were, it was just nice to be able to be part of the community outside of the on-campus community, and then to be able to see the talent of the different people that had their stuff there. It was amazing. I thought it was just a great venture for us.
Right.
And you're right, it was very successful. We had a lot of good comments, a lot of purchases, and I hope it just continues for this year.
Right. And again, it's standard for art galleries to take 20 to 50% of the cost. We were at the bottom end of that because we wanted to cover our costs, but we wanted to make certain as much money as possible went back either to the bookstore or to those artists. And I have what I think is a funny story about how this all germinated. I moved to Gallipolis July 1st of last year. And living, as I do, right above 404 on the second floor, I heard traffic 24 hours a day going up and down Route 7. And as I said, why don't we have some kind of footprint? Why doesn't Rio have some kind of footprint in downtown Gallipolis? Everybody was like, oh, that's drive-through traffic, that people don't stop in downtown Gallipolis. But I have a funny story from July 3rd of last year that may or may not get me into trouble. It was a Friday evening, and I had worked 3 days, and I was back in my apartment real quickly at 5:30 in the afternoon, and it was a hot, humid day, and I was changing out of my work clothes into clothes to drive up and visit family in Cleveland. And so I'm walking around my apartment in boxer shorts, looking for something else, and the next thing I see is like a teenage girl in a diaphanous gown float by my second floor window. And I thought, nah, I'm just old and I'm seeing things. And I look, and then a second one floats by the window. And so I immediately go and grab some pants to pull on over my boxer shorts, and I went out there, and it was the Riverfest beauty queen pageant, and they were driving down 2nd Avenue and then driving around the park and then parking, and they were going to be judged at that point.
You should have put on your gown.
Well, I don't think any of them saw me there, but I realized again, and living as I do right across from the park, that park is filled with people every weekend, and oftentimes in the evenings as well. And one thing that we saw last year was the lighting ceremony, and so many people were there. And if you haven't seen the lights, the Christmas lights in downtown Gallipolis, they are exquisite. I mean, I've lived most of my life in large cities, Denver, Albuquerque, Cleveland, Detroit. Those cities have nothing on the Gallipolis lights. They were just gorgeous. And there's so many people there on that Wednesday night, too. The place was packed.
It was magical. It was absolutely magical.
And,
very impressive.
And people kept coming up to me and saying, oh, this was such a great idea. And I kept saying, I couldn't do it without these people. And they're going, oh, you're modest. And I'm thinking, I'm not modest at all. I had an idea. I covered some shifts, but the work was done by Carrie and David and people that they were delegating. Now, again, we plan to do this again this year. Wednesday, November 25th is the lighting ceremony. And then we'll go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, tentatively so far December 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 17, 18, 19. And ideally what we're doing is we're showing what Rio does and presenting that to the community. We're trying to make downtown Gallipolis a more destination area for holiday shopping. And I will say that even though Robbie Jenkins was willing to have us use the facility again if it was open, it's now been rented out by a beauty parlor and they're renovating it. And I don't know if that was in part because of people who came into the store and saw what a good location it was. I think of other things like Pip and Hud's opening downtown. I think of the fact that the second theater now is being developed. The Colony Theater is being renovated and it's going to be opened just 2 doors down from the Ariel Theater. And so ideally this will make downtown Gallipolis more of a destination place to go. Now, Carrie, I know with your connections with the Madog Center, you just came back from NAFAO in Columbus. Do you want to describe what that is and tell us about it?
This is the North American Festival of Wales, and it's a huge conference and celebration of Welsh culture and your roots, and it really kind of turns into a reunion. Glorious time. We were set up in the marketplace where a lot of vendors come in to show their goods. We actually took historic memorabilia from the first 10 years of the National Eisteddfod in the United States. We actually had a scrapbook at the Welsh-American Heritage Museum in Oak Hill that we took to share, which of course was digitized, but people love to get their hands on the real thing. And really wonderful guest speakers, seminars. We actually had the That Was Bob production that was put on a couple of years ago under the direction of Greg Miller, and now graduated theater majors and community members. Our Davis intern from the Madog Center took part in that, and they were able to produce that again at the event, and it was such a hit, very well received, all about the story of Bob Evans' life. So it was a really fun weekend, meeting new people, and very tiring, but wonderful.
Great. And can you define Eisteddfod? I mean, I know what it means
That's
now,
very true.
But I'll bet a lot of our viewing audience doesn't.
An Eisteddfod is a festival of music and culture, and it really celebrates the arts, the full realm of the arts, from your writings and poems and essays to music and instruments and dancing. And this is a yearly event held in Wales every year. It's very much so a tradition. You're talking thousands of years of a tradition. But we still have them nationally, and the Eisteddfod at this national convention within the United States is one place where you do get to compete, and hopefully winning this, you actually move on to the National Eisteddfod in Wales.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Well, I've already embarrassed Carrie. It's time to embarrass David now. One of the best bookstore managers I've dealt with anywhere in the country. I'm in my 34th year in higher ed. I wasn't even planning to do this, but I am wearing a shirt that I ordered from him, and they even monogrammed it here with University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College. And since I'm the provost, I asked them to do that for those days when I'm having a middle-aged day and I don't remember who I am. I can look down and I can see that I'm the provost. But they're so entrepreneurial. It's such a well-run bookstore. And I know that you're branching out now. Do you want to talk about the new convenience store or some of the other initiatives you're doing?
The convenience store idea happened from last year. We had some students just approach us about buying convenience store items, and they didn't have access to vehicles, and so we kind of ran with that a bit, and then I asked Wes Taney for assistance from his marketing research class. They did a study at the end of spring semester for us. The response was just overwhelming. Probably 3/4 of the resident population at that point submitted applications and survey results, and from that we were very impressed that over 90% of the students, through some manner and such, would say, we would support that. We would like to have that facility available to us on campus. It would be convenient, it would be very helpful, and so we took that, and we were going to then just move some stuff around in the store where we were, make that happen. But then, midsummer, an opportunity came about for us to increase and expand into another space that's there right across from the bookstore, in the same building, same level. And we could then expand that convenience store thought into a coffee shop, a gathering space, a grab-and-go food idea. And so we are right in the midst of that. One of the things I was doing just before I came was submitting our food license to the Gallipolis County Health Department, and we have to get that up and running. But we've got basically everything else going. So as soon as we get our approval, it'll be a great space. It's really kind of geared towards commuter students, but it really isn't. It really isn't for them. We really have to push it upon them and make them aware of it to have them coming in. So it's really more utilized in the past by resident population.
Sure.
They're looking for some place to gather with friends, get out of their rooms and whatnot and such. It's great Wi-Fi just like everywhere else on campus, but there's some easy lounge furniture. You could actually be playing games if that's what your forte is, but it's just a great place to gather in there, and we want to be able to then to enhance that experience in there by having just food and snacks and whatnots and such.
Right.
And so we're, I think, probably 2 weeks away from making that happen.
Okay. And I know your hours still aren't clear, but you do plan to stay open into the evening after the dining center?
That is, again, the focus of this operation is for student life.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting to that age where about 11 o'clock or so, I'm ready to hit the sack. I understand, though, that students are just then getting their second wind. And so we're looking at being open from 6 in the evening till midnight, 7 days a week.
Wow.
And then, at the same time, we don't want to leave the daytime hours alone, nor do we want to forget staff and faculty who happen to be out at 8 o'clock. And so there's going to be a 2-hour session right at the breakfast time. You can come and get Amish donuts, Silverbridge coffee.
Great.
When you're ready for lunch, you can come in and get frozen yogurt, maybe even an apple or something. And then through the evening, then we don't plan on cooking anything, but we want to have food that can be easily heated, some pre-prepared things. And then I still have a couple boys that are fairly young. They're just all about snacking of anything. So.
Sure. Well, I'm very excited about that because I can always argue to parents and prospective students the value of being at a smaller institution where the professors know your name and things like that. But one thing I can't always respond to is what kinds of social activities, what kinds of options do people have? And especially, we're a college of 2,200. We have about 350 students in the dorm, and that doesn't merit a Taco Bell or something like that on campus. But I think something like this is wonderful, and it gives people options for the evening, and it improves student life. There's no doubt about that.
Well, that's been kind of the thought my whole 15 years that I've been at the store. Granted, we are a smaller population. We shouldn't be offering or shouldn't need to offer all the things that an Ohio State store has to offer to 50,000 students. But that doesn't make our student population any less attractive. And so we try to be very option-friendly within whatever that happens to be, whether it's textbook affordability or whether it's other services that we can be a part of and help grow or fund or at least get off the ground or be a part of, whatever that is. I think that the bookstore strives to be a good partner on campus for whatever those activities and events are.
Right, great. Carrie, can you tell us a little bit more about some of the things that the Madog Center has done? And I'm thinking specifically, although this is academic, through the Welsh intern, we have offered second language acquisition courses in Welsh, and I know they're often under-enrolled. It just seems like that's an interesting area. That's an area possibly that we could develop. And I've been accused of being an Anglophile before, and I think that's true, but I would say it's not just England. It is, all the British Isles. I have a kilt. I wore it to several. Although my background is Russian, I have no British Isles in my ancestry on either side. But who cares about that? So I wore the kilt to multiple parties. And if you guys know Tony Daniels, he kept trying to take upskirt pictures underneath my kilt. And he put around a horrible rumor that I was going around commando. And I can honestly say I was not. I very carefully picked a pair of underwear with a lot of coverage because I had no idea what was going to happen that night.
Yeah, you kind of knew to make sure.
Yeah. I mean, there he was with his cell phone, like, what are you doing? And he's taking upskirt pictures of me. I can't imagine what the women have to deal with. But again, I'm wondering, do you think it's feasible maybe to try to offer more programming in Welsh language and literature?
I think what often we find when we go out into, whether it be this national event that we just went to, or whether it's a small community event, we'll run into people that we've known for years, and then we'll run into those few that just happen to hear about it from Columbus or from Parkersburg, and they want to come and learn a little bit more, and they're really overwhelmed by the amount of heritage that we have regarding the Welsh in this area. You're talking about a huge stream of immigration in the early 1800s that left quite a footprint economically, historically, I mean, across the board in Jackson and Gallia counties. So when it comes to the Welsh courses that we offer, it kind of comes in streams. We might have a large group of students that'll be attending Trinity in the fall, have gotten approved, and they want to get that Welsh 1 under their belt so that they're just a little more knowledgeable when they hit the ground of what's going on. Now, granted, Wales commonly speaks in English, but at the same point, it's always interesting to kind of know a little bit more about the background of where you're going before you visit. When it comes to the community coming, it's the same kind of thing. You get waves of people. We just had people this weekend talking years ago when we used to do intensive studies in the summer for the Welsh language. And there are many different avenues in which we can produce. So it's just a matter of seeking who needs that and then trying to form that together at a time that's convenient. And the availability, of course, since we have the Welsh-speaking interns, we are always available to offer Welsh language courses because we do have that, really in our side pocket when it comes to what we can offer. So.
Right. Great. So, David, can you share with us some of the new items or new areas that the bookstore is covering? I know it seems you have a lot of different items and areas in addition to books, and students buy their books, although that's all changing because a lot of students are buying media rather than books. Sometimes it's a CD-ROM rather than a book. Did you say 15 years you've been here?
This is my 15th year.
15th year.
15th year.
How have you seen things change? Because as a lit professor, I've seen things change. It used to be 90% of the students bought books. Now I'm lucky if 50% do. And I keep telling them, it's a literature class. How can you not buy the books? But I'm sure you've seen some changes too. And where do you see the future of college bookstores?
Well, I think if I knew where the future was headed, I'd be president of some association somewhere because it's such a market that is just on the constant move, and especially here the last couple of years. A lot of internet-based learning is going on. A lot of access codes. Instructors are using interactive textbooks that are using current videos as opposed to just things that were pasted from 20 years ago or still plates that showed the Hoover Dam when it was under construction. They're using current things now. And we sell so many access codes, so many digital books, that I really think that's going to get there at some point, but I don't know that it's going to get there in my lifetime. I've always thought that it's very hardware driven, and especially then in our area, students are going to need broadband access, and that's going to be such a driver for some of the outlying sides of the community and such. But for those resident students, we employ lots of students, about 15 or 16 for each semester. There's about 6 or 7 of them that are business students, school of business students this year. They only go to class 1 day a week, 2 days a week, maybe. The rest of it is all online, and they're accessing everything from home, and they never have to get dressed if they don't want to, except for when they come in to work for me. So I think it's really headed that direction. I just don't know, because we can't tell, but it definitely has picked up steam the last couple of years. Absolutely. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing there. And then students they just have options. They always want options. They're no different than we are as consumers. They don't want to have to buy just the black Chevy. They want the red whatever.
Yeah.
And so we're renting books, we're selling digitals, we're providing accesses. It's what we try to do, is make that educational experience here an affordable one, also enjoyable. I don't know, I mean, you make that choice to go to school for another 4 years or 2 and such. So we don't want to be a burden on that. We don't want to have to add to that hardship. We try to provide all the options that makes that learning easier and better for everyone.
Now, I know some larger bookstores went to book rentals. That's where a student pays a fixed amount.
That is true.
For the 3 or 4 months of the term. And I assume they can't mark in the book then? They have to return it clean?
It used to be that way.
Yeah.
Rentals is so much different now. We actually offer 3 rental programs in our store,
Really?
which is, we offer one on our website, we offer 2 in-house, and it's all price driven. So
Okay.
we find the cheapest vendor that's going to provide rental books for us. We're basically renting our stock through another third party. So it's not like they're waiting, like if they were to go to an internet-based renter where they would have to place their order, wait 3 or 4 days for the book to show up, you're dead in the water while the instructor's talking away, you don't have any clue. We're renting our books. We just have partnerships with other people. And so we do 3 rentals, and I'm going to take a wild guess and say our rental business was up probably 600%.
Okay.
From what it was even just last year.
Wow.
So it definitely is the way to go. Price of textbooks are just astronomical almost.
Yeah.
So
Now, I know an attorney told me years ago that any kind of contract has consideration on both sides. So the consideration on the student side, obviously, is they're paying less by
That's true.
renting rather than buying. The consideration on the bookstore side, why does this make sense to you? Can you still make at least a minor profit on that?
we can. I mean, obviously, we can't do it on the first time out because, I mean, we're just cutting your price the first time through, but we do have manners of being able to recoup our costs. The whole model of bookstore operation has changed so much that the margins have gotten smaller, and you have to figure out how to make your dollars somewhere else or some other manner. And so we will make it. We will make it at some point. Students just have to be considerate enough. They could highlight every word if that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
But they could.
David, I'm so sorry. The student workers here who are doing a wonderful job are telling me we're at the end of our half hour. Two of my favorite people from the Rio community, and we've taken up the half hour already. Thank you so much. University of Rio Grande Community College in southeastern Ohio. Hope to see you at our holiday storefront again this November and December.
Yes.